Ian Garry on an absolute rampage this week leading up to UFC 310 when he will be taking on Shavkat Rakhmonov. He spoke to Ariel Helwani and did some interviews at Media Day this week. Things are going off the rails. He's making claims that may or may not be true. Let's listen in now.
Why do you think Usman, you said he wanted nothing to do with you? Why do you think that's the case? Former champion coming off a strong performance.
Because Usman has a big chest and little balls.
That's what was said to you?
He looks good. No, he does not. That's what I'm saying. He's got a big chest. He looks good. He plays the part, but where it matters between the legs, he's a little man. That's my outlook on it. He's worried again. Him and Colby, they're older. They've been through the division. They fought these guys. Now they're getting to the end of their careers. They want to choose the better stylistic matchups. I guarantee.
Better stylistic matchup. I want to fight a striker, Ian Garry, who's not got great takedown defense, has been taken down by guys lower in the rankings than I have. Kamaru Usman, though, is suffering from a couple of minor injuries. That's why he said he was not ready to take on Shavkat in a late notice fight. Colby Covington has been trying to fight Ian Garry. We don't know exactly what the situation there is between Colby and Ian, but Colby then took on a fight against Joaquin Buckley, who is a stocky guy, has a good wrestling background, and has power in his hands. That's a terrible matchup for Colby Covington as a wrestler. Don't you want to take down the long, lanky striker that isn't great at takedown defense and can't defend takedowns very well in Ian Garry? It doesn't quite make sense. It seems like Ian Garry doesn't really want to fight Colby Covington to me, but who knows? Colby's always trying to avoid and line up the best fights, but it seems like Ian doesn't really want to fight Colby either. He just wants to run his mouth. Let's listen in to what else he had to say.
So I had many conversations back to back with the UFC, through me, through my agents, through multiple contacts with the matchmakers. Initially, the goal was to line up a fight with Colby Covington. Again, it's no secret that he's been running. Then they went down the line and let's look at Kamaru Usman. Kamaru Usman's words were literally the words I heard from the UFC were Kamaru Usman wants nothing to do with you, as in he's just running as well. Again, obviously you Shavkat and Bilal match. The other guys are injured in regards to Leon and JDM, not going to fight at the end of the year. And it was in that situation then again.
All right, so he just said it there. There just weren't options above him. There were things going on. Kamaru, not available. Leon, not available. Shavkat was fighting Bilal, so that's 5. And then JDM also injured. So that's all the guys above him. Yet he continues on to say that nobody above him would fight him because they're running scared, even though he just admitted that most of them are either injured or were scheduled before he had a fight booked with Joaquin Buckley. This is absolutely stupid, and he's literally contradicting himself within a 15-second time span.
Kind of like, right, there's no one above me. I'm frustrated. I'm irritated. I want to fight guys that are going to get me a step closer to that world title shot, not defending my number. You know what I mean? I want to progress up the rankings. So I had many.
It's just crazy. This guy continues on in that interview, like I said, to say that everybody above me is scared of me and they don't want anything to do with me. You just admitted yourself that they are mostly out of commission or were already booked to fight, dude. What are you talking about? Here he is again going off on Colby Covington. Let's take a listen.
Talk to me about your immediate reaction when, the Colby fight's been presented to you a few times and then it never happens. The Shavkat fight happens and then suddenly he's fighting Buckley.
He just magically fucking reappeared out of thin air. Just came out of nowhere, didn't he? Oh yeah, I'll do it. It just shows he's a coward. It proves that he never, ever, ever wanted to fight me in the first place. He's the perfect example of someone who was trying to stay relevant by talking about me. Shavkat, he even mentioned Charles at one point because he was getting all the media attention.
All right, yeah, Colby did pop up out of nowhere and he took the fight on late notice. He was probably looking to step in and fight Shavkat or step in and fight somebody for the interim belt or something like that, and that was not available for him, so he decided to ultimately take the fight in Florida, in his home state. But Ian Garry is the better matchup for him. Joaquin Buckley is a bad stylistic matchup for Colby, somebody who's dangerous to Colby. Ian Garry's not necessarily dangerous for Colby Covington. Could he beat Colby? Yes, maybe Colby's running from him. But I don't know, this seems very fishy that all these fights have been lined up and yet Ian also can't seem to get in there and fight Colby. I mean, Colby's fighting, okay? So he's there available to fight. Why is he so scared of Ian Garry? I just don't know if that's really fully the truth here. here he is, Ian Garry, continuing on, saying that he's so much better than Shavkat. Take a listen.
I have more fights in the UFC, more wins in the UFC than Shavkat. I have more knockouts in the UFC than Shavkat. I have more wins over ranked opponents in the UFC than Shavkat. I am more active than Shavkat.
Shavkat, future champ, Ian Garry, it's almost from the media's perspective a we'll wait and see. Did you find that a little bit disrespectful?
I'm not the most liked fighter in the world. Let's put it that way. Right? Also, if you watch any of my fights and you forget about whatever you've heard about, whatever fucking bullshit lies you've ever heard, and you watch the fights and you focus on the skill set, there's nothing negative that you can take away from my skill sets.
Ian Garry is a great fighter. His personality and his whole character and everything surrounding him is absolute shit. The dude is the least charismatic and real guy, down-to-earth human being that you'll ever meet. A lot of this is fake. Maybe he's a very shy individual, so he's putting out all this as a show. I don't know what the story is exactly. I can't stand the guy's character, but he is a great fighter. You have to admit that. He did beat MVP, beat Jeff Neal, beat Neil Magny. Like, these guys are no bums, absolutely. But he did not finish them, and he did not look impressive doing so. And he says that he's better than Shavkat. He has more wins, more knockouts, more this, more that. He posted this sparring footage earlier in the week talking about how, yes, look at how good I am. I pieced up Shavkat. That's basically what he was saying when he posted this video of them sparring. But Shavkat has another story to tell.
Then, his wife asked me if she can film the footage of the sparring, and I accepted it. And but they didn't ask me if they can release it or no. And I wonder why they didn't release the other part of the sparring.
Could I ask what?
So Ian Garry's wife obviously was filming this portion of the sparring where Ian Garry was piecing him up. Also probably came in and filmed on multiple days, filmed a lot of minutes of sparring footage between the two, a lot of training. And Shavkat is saying, well, why don't they release the rest of the footage, all the other footage where I was doing okay? Why wouldn't you just release that? Let's take a listen to what exactly happened in those other videos.
What would we see if they released the other part?
Чтобы мы бы увидели, если бы они выложили все видео. Как стучит Ian Garry? How Ian Garry taps.
Oh, wow. Submission.
Болевой подглушающий.
Pretty cold there by Shavkat. Why don't you release all that other footage where you're tapping and sparring? Don't just play it because you're winning in a tit-for-tat battle on the feet. Ian Garry then had to admit to this because you decided...
That's right. I know sparring.
His wife or whoever, his management team, his social media manager, Ian Garry himself decided to post this sparring footage to make himself look good. Except the problem is, now that you've put that out there, you open yourself up for criticism. Brendan Allen came out and directly commented, hey, what about that footage where you tapped out to Shavkat? And now Shavkat reveals that footage is out there somewhere. It's just not being posted. It's being thrown in the trash. Dude, if you would just shut up and move through the fight week and not post this stupid shit where you're slightly piecing up Shavkat on the feet, then you will not open yourself up for criticism. Everybody wonders in the media, why do we hate Ian Garry? And this is exactly why. If you would just shut up and move forward, you're a good fighter. You've got nothing wrong with you in terms of the fight game. Are you a little boring? Have you been boring? Have you been putting on lackluster performances? Yes, but we have to admit he's a good fighter. But then when you put stuff like this out there where you're piecing him up in sparring and you're like, yeah, I'm just going to leave this here. Here's my statement. Here's the sparring footage where I'm beating him in a tit-for-tat battle. Well, you open yourself up for criticism, and now look, the floodgates have been released. So, let me know what you guys think about all this down in the comments down below. Ian Garry running his mouth, saying stuff that just isn't even true. He's contradicting himself. So, I'll see you in the next one.